I don't know why I turned that off, but anyway. This morning I titled the message, Chosen to be Courageous, but Fall Back to Complacent. Chosen to be courageous, but fall back to complacent. You ever wondered why the older you get, the more complacent some become? How many of you are over 35, 40 years old, and the older you get, the slower things get done, and the less important things are, and the things that would have made you get a divorce don't seem as important as they did? That happens, doesn't it? But I don't like that. When we are younger, we're courageous, right? Like a bulldog. Anybody ever thought about that? You're ready to fight at the drop of a hat. I got a couple buddies in here that their hands are beat up and arms and shoulders are twisted out, and it's all because they acted like a knothead as they were growing up. That happens to us. I had an uncle that had a bulldog one time, and we were out at the farm at Dad's, and we had a bull in the chute, and we let it out into the corral. Now, as many of you know, my dad, he likes to build things that ain't going to fall down, so we got 5-inch corner post out of drill stem and 2-inch top rail and 7/8 sucker rod welded all the way around it. I mean, you hit it and it's going to hurt, okay? You could drive a dozer over it, but it would go all the way up and down the other side. I mean, these fences will last forever. And we were trying to do something with the bull, and before I knew it, this bulldog run through underneath the fence and latched on to this bull. Now, I don't mean just bit him on the lip. I mean all 4 canines was in his nostril holes. I didn't know what to say, other than where'd that come from? The next thing I know, that bull is shaking that dog, and that dog is straight out from his nose, and he's slinging that thing for everything he's worth. Now, if you've ever watched buck and broncs and stuff and rodeos, I know you're from Indiana, so you probably have to watch them on TV because they really don't have those here. But in Oklahoma, if you've ever been to a true rodeo or went to the national finals or anything like that, I mean, we're talking a big animal. That dog never did let go. That's who I want you guys to be. That's who I want you guys to be, that type of, I'm going to use a big word. You ready? Tenacious. I don't even know where that come from. That must be from my raisins, huh? I don't know. Usually all I can remember is crap or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'll be in trouble by that one. I got 1,200 emails. Don't send me no more because I don't look at them. It's usually bathroom reading material. But anyway, I want us to be like that bulldog, right? When we have somebody that we are trying to love into this place, when we have those friends that call and you have to go, I want us to be like that bulldog. He probably he didn't know why he done that, other than he seen an opportunity to get in between us and him. And then as we get older, gravity works on our bodies. Okay, don't say nothing up here. You'll get me all messed up. Gravity works on our bodies and we become more complacent, right? We get into just the mundane stuff, coming in and sitting down. And how many of you got your place you set? I was so excited today. I had 3 people while I was in the back, because I just kind of mill around and listen. And they said, well, somebody's already got my seat. Now, in the traditional church, somebody would be getting on Facebook, walking out, never coming back. I mean, You know the drill. The old wooden pews, the little brass tag out there that says the Bruns family. Okay, you don't let a family give you whatever a pew costs and put their name on it, because then nobody can sit in it. So when you have visitors and everybody's got a tag, where are they going to sit? In the floor? But it was encouraging because not one of them got mad. They're like, well, somebody's got my seat. And so they just file into another row. That's what we want, right? We want people to come in and sit down. I want people to have to be here early to get your front row seat. It's good for you. The more comfortable you become, the more you start backing up as you grow older. I've noticed that about myself. You know, when we first started the church, I was riding about 25,000 miles a year on the bike. I spend more time on the motorcycle than I do a vehicle. Ask my wife. But I noticed a couple years ago, there was one year in there that I only got like less than 10,000 miles, and I'm thinking, that's wrong. You preach at a biker church. How can you only put that? I got complacent. We built the building, and that year things happened. So I forced myself because I don't want to be complacent. I don't want to move into something I'm not. I don't want to turn into a Saturday afternoon rider. No offense, gentlemen. But look around. You're at the only biker church in 150 miles. I don't want to become complacent. The more comfortable you become, the more you start backing up as you grow older. In other words, the things that you used to do, they start slowing down. There's some of you that used to be all excited about being here early. And now, we won't even talk about it. I still got ladies that love the bereavement dinners and guys, but they used to get here at 8 o'clock and have a party and hee-haw for the 4 hours before they ever even needed to start to turn on a burner. And now they should have turned the burner on 30 minutes before they got there, really. They've got complacent. What happens to us? We used to be excited when we had our rally in September. But some have decided, man, it's been a hard summer. When do we got to be here? When's the ride leave? 5 minutes before I get here? Things are not as important. Now, that's exactly why in the next few weeks we're going to start that sermon series on Sunday night for everyone that is not married or in high school, for people that are married, because we have to stay on our A game. Because we all become complacent. You know, I've told so many people that have attended Brianna's Hope and they fall out and you see them every once in a while. I'm like, you need to get back in there. Oh, preach, I'm fine. I'm good now. I got this. You can probably go visit a couple of them in the county jail. Complacency will ruin you. I don't know if many of you remember, but just a few short years ago, the rush, the high, we set our minds to making this building Crosspoint's home. And if you don't like to hear about money, plug your ears for a minute, because I'm going to talk to the ones that are die hard. We didn't take no for an answer. If something come up, all I had to do is say it and stuff started coming in. Because we have a goal. We have a target here at Crosspointe. We want a culture here at Crosspointe. That we do whatever it takes, whenever it takes, how long it takes to do anything to bring one person to Christ. We can't let that become complacent. And I'm not talking to everybody. But there's somebody that maybe has let go. It's kind of like when you go on vacation. How many of you just never set to cruise? You just kind of get relaxed in the ones that drive cages I'm talking to. Or how about the guys that might not have cruise control on your bike, or you like to be able to give it fuel, you know? Me, I want to be running 95 miles an hour when I hit the interstate, and then we'll adjust back to 80. Slow down. If you've ever rode with me. I did good this last trip, 75 every day. No changes. But if you don't set the cruise, by the end of the day, you're gonna wake up and go, man, I could have been 3 hours more down the road if I would have not got tired. Have you ever got tired driving in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my gosh, is it almost 5? I need a donut. They're bad for you. But anyway, before you know it, you're running 50 and 49, and it's hard to keep 55, and it's just one of those things, and you start to slow down, and instead of 13 hours home, it took you 14 and a half and 15 because you couldn't stay on target. You know, this ministry's tough. It's hard. There's a lot of hours. There's a lot of stuff. Sometimes our boldness loses some of its fire. So I want to talk to you this morning about faith. A couple other things, hearing God's word and his voice. But I want to ask you, the question this morning is, have you lost your fire that you had to dream big and say the sky's the limit, where God is in the middle? How big is the God you serve? What's too big with God, for God? I want you to write this down. Jot it down in your phone. Don't forget to tag in. Even if this message is bad, say it was awesome so we can get somebody to come in. Tell them the band knocked it out of the park. I want you to write this down. Convenient is the new comfortable. How many of you love to be able to pull in on a Sunday afternoon and say, I want 3 hamburgers, 2 fries, a couple pops to go? And boom, it's there. And where I grew up, you went home and found a good TV show and you sat down on a Sunday afternoon, and when the chicken was done frying, then you got to eat about 2 hours later. Our new society, most of our kids today don't even know what mashed taters are because nobody takes the time. Convenient is the new comfortable. It can cause us to be boring and predictable. This weekend we got to go up to the park. And it was a little chaotic a couple times. And part of them come over to the Crosspointe tent, and they're like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm stressed out, and that's not working, and this one's gone, and they left, and I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? We got to feed all these veterans and their families, and you got the JTM hamburgers. I said, if it's food, it's not a problem. If it's fixing that, that'll make you happy, we can do it. So being the people that we are, I told somebody to come over here and dig around in our freezer. Bring us some pork chops. Hey, our veterans deserve a steak. And their families. So we have these conversations. Me and Mike have lots of conversations. But we have these conversations. He's like, I don't know. What are we going to do? Now, I'm predictable in this situation, right? I'm glad one person. You come to me with a problem, I'm going to fix it. I'll talk to Donnie later. Bless his heart. I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I send Bob back over here to pick up all the pork chops we have. We needed 200. We had 220. So he thaws them out, and we start throwing in a couple other things. Now we're able to do this because you guys have caught the culture of Crosspointe. You guys, in your tithe and your offerings, that's how we do what we do. Without that, we couldn't do it. So we brought the food over, and the select people was supposed to go through the line, and I'm like, feed everybody. Heck far. I don't know how many they fed yesterday, but they ate good. And somebody said while they were there, I wasn't there. It's kind of funny. I'm not around a lot. I appreciate that. Guys, don't go kill him. Easy. Oh, be careful, Joe. You may have a knife or somebody poking you in the throat. Anyway, the guys said that they were going to handle a lot of things around here from now on, and so I'm just kind of testing them. You know what I mean? So I don't know how many they fed, but they fed everybody that was there. And somebody mentioned, wonder if the food's good. Well, we got all these Crosspointe shirts on because everybody here thinks they got to have one. You know what I mean? It's kind of the brand. Somebody said, hey, they're wearing Crosspointe shirts. Wherever Crosspointe is, there's good food. Amen? Now, we had nothing to do with that. We had nothing to do with any part of planning or none of that stuff there. But behind the scenes, there wasn't nobody that knew that little big group that was having a conversation, unless you're watching Facebook. I mean, you did an amazing job. But we led from the back. We didn't ask for a pat on the back. We led from the back. That's the kind of predictable I want to be. You know, the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've had 4 or 5 people call, and they've kind of been different in the funeral meal side of it, but I've had people call and say, Pastor, we need to help this family. And I'm like, okay. Well, we figured you would want to, but we want to make sure logistically, timing and building-wise, it can happen. That's the kind of questions I want. I don't want you to question, will you help this family when they need a funeral meal? It's, let me call my pastor and make sure logistically it can work. I don't want anybody to question. I don't care where they go. I don't care what church they attend. I don't care where they're a member. You know what I say? I don't care. 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 Because we're not trying to bring them over to our place. Maybe if we show them Jesus, they'll find another church that they feel more comfortable in. But it's all about them learning about Jesus. It's about us reducing who we are, reducing our footprint in front of somebody so that they see Jesus more than they see Crosspointe. Now, it always feels good when they say wherever Crosspointe is, there's good food. Because we ain't eating junk. We'll find the cheapest, best that we can find to feed. But that's what I want. I want people to know that when there's a problem, that we can be the solution even when we wasn't invited to be. Because it ain't about the pats on the back. It's about those crowns, those little things that's going to be in our crown when we make it to heaven. And I think you guys do a very good job at taking care of that. So I want to say thank you for all you guys do. And if you're sitting there this morning and you're going, well, Pastor, I didn't know we did that kind of stuff, and I don't know. We're not real good at getting the word out sometimes, and sometimes stuff falls through the cracks. And we're working on that. I got 20 people that come back from Atlanta and assure me that things are going to be different. And Kyle's the spokesman, so he's amazing. But they're going to handle that so that we can all be and understand and know what's going on and find out where we need to serve. And we're working on that. But this morning, I want you to think about, how many of you brushed your teeth this morning? I want all of you to know not everybody raised their hand. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I don't know who you are, but some of you did not raise your hand. Yuck. I'm warm and fuzzy now. Can I have a couple more minutes if that clock goes to zero? Just y'all won't get mad? I wished all of you had brushed your teeth. Well, here's the deal. Yeah, she's right there. Here's the thing. I tried to leave as much on there as I could because I cut 7 inches off of it. But she's happy with it right there, so we're not going any higher. All right? Is that fair? I'm gonna measure it to make sure. We may have to adjust it 1/4 of an inch a little bit, one way or the other, but we're good. I had one of them painful teeth experiences last week when we were riding, and I had to go to the dentist. And when the dentist looks over at the dental assistant, Dr. Weber's good. He looks over at her and he says in a soft voice, "Could you hold his jaw?" I'm like, whoa, what? You know what them forks are that you dig dandelions with? They're kind of rounded. Well, that's what this looked like, but it was little bitty. And when he commenced the digging, and I heard a kink, and something landed on this side of my mouth, which isn't numb. It was feeling great. And she goes, "That was part of his bone." I'm like, man, tomorrow's going to be a good day. I don't feel nothing right now, but he's like, "No problem." They get the Dremel tool out and go to town on me. And 25 minutes later, they get out whatever they was digging for. And they had to smooth the bone a little bit. So it's been a rough couple days. So if you called me in the last 3 or 4 days and I talked a little out of my head, that's why. How many of you remember making coffee this morning? You set it before or after, whatever, and you get up and the coffee's made? Maybe you made some Black Rifle. That's pretty good. How many of you remember driving to church this morning? You remember turning the corner down there to get off the highway to drive down through here? Was the grass cut, or was it a little bit tall and had some grass clippings on the top? On the first house on the left or right? A little bit. Is the lawnmower out there that for sale? Anybody not remember when you turn the corner? You just really can't remember. Be honest. I'm not going to call you out. You didn't pay attention, right? I appreciate that. I'm never going to steal in front of you because you remember everything. So, all that stuff you remember, some of us don't remember doing that. I remember my alarm going off at 6:45. But I don't remember a few things. I remember listening to praise and worship riding to church. But if you said yes, you remember all that stuff. It might be because it's a habit. But do you remember the details? Your neighbor probably always parks his cars the same way at their house. Do you remember if the truck or the car was in the right spot or maybe parked out on the street? Or you remember all that stuff? Obviously, a few of you seen I cut my beard this morning. Sometimes your daily activities get put on autopilot and you don't catch them for a few days. This week, a few of them that I'm around every day, it took them 2 days to figure out that something wasn't right. They didn't know exactly what it was from here down, but something was not exactly like it's always been. It's like the seat you're sitting in this morning. You're more than likely has sat there since you started coming to this building. And you're comfortable there, right? You feel safe. That's your place. The unfamiliar makes us uncomfortable. The stuff that's not every day. You see, there's a lot of seasoned people here today that are they're not complacent. They're ready to give. I'm going to ask you to give to something at the end of the service that y'all are going to be excited about, but they're willing to jump in and be a part of that. But don't you change nothing. I mean, don't paint that ceiling black because it's going to be ugly. And now every one of you like it. It's like that smoke machine right there we're going to put up one of these days, right, Kyle? Still talking about it. We're okay to be proactive when it comes to being not complacent, but if you change just a little bit, it makes you uncomfortable. But it's each one of us strive to be comfortable, right? We all want to be comfortable. Even when you don't notice. Well, this morning there's a problem. Some people's got a boat anchor tied to yourself, and it's dug in, and you went from bold to boring. You thought I was going to say beautiful, didn't you? You went from bold to boring. You went from courageous to convenient. This week's been one of them crazy weeks, and if I tell your story and I'm not telling who it is, just go with me, because how many of you like God stories? I'm not telling you these stories so you can look at me. I'm telling you these stories because I want you guys I want you to self-motivate. Yeah, that's a big word, but we got to self-motivate, right? I mean, I got to be your cheerleader. We got first service. We got quite a few seats open. I need you guys to be helping filling them. Even though you like 11 o'clock, I want you to start filling 9. Because when that gets full, then Jesus is going to have to do something, right? I mean, he needs to do something now, but we'll give him a little bit of grace if we're allowed to do that. So this week, I've got a couple of stories. This week, I was riding home. It was about 9:30. And the thought come through my mind that I need to go see a family. Lord, it's 9:30. Tracy and Hunter's at home. I want to be at home with them. I need to get gas. So I pull the motorcycle into the gas station. And I'm pumping fuel. You know how the Lord talks to you, right? He says, turn around. I'm like, Lord, I need $16 worth of gas. Tracy's probably got me something that's just awesome with noodles and chickpeas in it, and I'm ready to eat it. And I really would just like to go sit down and be comfortable. Now, I love every one of you, so I don't know how else to be but honest. Shove that nozzle up into the thing and get my receipt, put it in my wallet. I fire the motorcycle up and he says, turn around. If you think about what God's trying to make you do, it don't work so well because you'll find 50 things that you got to do and you don't have time for and whatever's going on. That's just rain. Like we need some more. So I turned around. It's 9:45, Lord. They're in bed. Here I come, pulling in the driveway. I think I left at 12 or 12:45. I don't know who was feeling better, them or me. But I did what God wanted me to do, right? Whatever the reason, there was nothing. I mean, we just had a good discussion and laughed, and it was a good time. But God told me to do it, so I did it. Well, He told me twice, but I tried to get away with it at the gas station. So later on in the week, I run into two people in the gate coming into the church. And the Lord spoke to me, and the motor's running. So I turned the motor off. Talked to him for a little bit. The Lord said, go ahead. We was just talking about stuff, and one of them needed a little help, and it wasn't much, but you know, when you don't have anything, a little bit's it's much. The Lord said, give it to him. Now, Lord, I work hard for that. I pay my tithe, more than my tithe, you know. He said, bless them. So I pulled out my wallet and I took care of their need. You know, many, many times, God speaks to each one of you in this room. I don't care if you believe in Jesus. I don't care if you're atheist. I don't care if you're, I don't care. I don't care I don't care what you profess, where we are. I'm glad you're here. You're in a safe place. We're not going to force nothing on you. We're not going to try to take nothing out of your wallet. We're not going to guilt you into anything because we don't pass a plate. We want to love on you. But God speaks to each one of you. And because of God speaking to somebody and bringing it to my attention and God working all through it, we're sitting in some place that we never deserved. I get treated better than I ever have. You guys take very well care of my family. And we got a huge building that we can do a lot of stuff in to help a lot of people. So I'm up here talking to you, and I don't deserve any of this that I've got. I don't deserve any of it. But God talks to me, and I move. When God talks to you, you move. Now, it's okay because there's probably more than just a couple in here that doesn't move. And I used to be where you are. And I was miserable. I left church services and just was, Because when God gets in your wallet, or God gets in your time, or God gets in any part of your life, it's no fun, right? I mean, I don't have any more time than you do. I mean, one guy in here thinks I work 2 hours a week. 2 services on Sunday. The rest of the week I get the yeehaw. But I got time issues just like you do. And at 5 o'clock when y'all go home and see your families, I like to do that too, but it usually don't happen. And I'm not trying to do anything to make you feel bad or whatever, but I'm saying where we are today doesn't have to be where we are tomorrow. Because you guys are the reason we're here today. And if you're new here, come next week and you'll be a member and you can jump right in. But if we want to see more of Connersville explode, we got to do more. We got to build more. We got to add on more. We got to go see people more. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day sitting in a restaurant talking to people. I've just about got every one of the waitresses coming here. So what do you do? What time could you invest in the kingdom? Because the sky's the limit. Jesus has not put us in a box. But are you bold? Are you courageous? Do you have faith that moves? You know, Jesus is having that conversation with you. He's wanting you to jump on. But he's having that conversation with you. And if you don't have those Jesus stories, it's those Jesus stories that carry you on to the next, or through the next hard time. And I'm not saying look at me. I'm trying to use me as an example, not because I want you to act like me, but I go through the same trials you do. And those times bring me to the next time. And there's a culture here that if we will capture the culture, it will bleed into Connersville and the rest of the surrounding counties. I have a great pastor that I watch leadership videos on. I can get it. It's like I'm sitting in his leadership team meeting, and I get to sit in there and listen to what he said. And I don't know if you know anything about time and when Jesus come to this earth, but it was very directed and appointed, and it wouldn't have worked any other time when Jesus come to earth. And he come during the Roman Empire. And if you study any of the Roman stuff, the Romans don't go in and just wipe out places and just make everybody act like them. The Roman culture moves in, and I want you to listen to me very closely because I don't talk about political stuff, but I'm going to tell you something. The Roman culture comes in and they'll take a family and a bunch of people and they'll set them right down in the middle of somewhere and let them just do life. They don't force it on nobody. They just let them do life. And what happens is that surrounding place starts acting like the Romans. You know where the Bible says, when in Rome? There's something to that. And if you guys haven't been paying attention in this world, Islam is doing the exact same thing in the United States, and we don't watch it and don't stand up. It's going to be even uglier than when Jesus wanted to make it ugly so he could come back. They're doing the exact same thing, putting mosques and living in a circle, and it's just multiplying. That's what we're supposed to do right here. That's why Crosspointe was put in Connersville. That's why I don't worry about, I'll help any church around, but I don't really worry about what they're doing because we're all trying to save people and keep them from going to hell. But we've got to develop a culture that when things don't go right in this town and in our county, and we can be a solution to the problem, that we jump in and blend in with them, and before you know it, they're wanting to know why you're being so nice, and they're expecting they got questions. Just like yesterday, I didn't care. I don't know what we made there, but we will do lucky to be at 0 when we're done. But that's not why we were there. Because the culture of Crosspointe is that everybody here wants to help whoever, whenever, wherever, for as long as we have to. That's you guys. We got to be a culture that is building up people, telling them how good of a job they are, telling them how blessed we are for them to be in our life. Just like I said a couple weeks ago, I am blessed because you are in my life. And no, that's not a leadership plug. That's truth. And if every one of us would think in that way, instead of thinking that somebody's trying to get something for nothing, Have we been taken advantage of? Heavens, yes. Are we worried about it? Absolutely not. We want to be a culture that wants to live out our relationship in Jesus in front of a people that probably don't agree with us. All the people that were naysayers when we started this, they're the ones that call us now so we can feed somebody or help somebody or whatever. It's a culture that we have to change so that they understand that the only thing we're doing is being Jesus' hands and feet, because that's how he's taught us. Culture is saying slow down. Work at being comfortable. Listen to what Jesus says in Luke. Peter's asking a question. Jesus is going to respond to him. In verse 48, he says, when somebody has been given much, much will be required in return. And when someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required. Now, I usually don't do this, and I'm going to tell you something, and it may bite me in the rear end, and I hope it don't. But next week, that little guy over there, Jason, he's the one sharing the message next week, not me. So I expect every one of you to be here, right? Because this place don't run around Chris Lovett, right? God has given us a lot here, but it's not because I was the brains of the operation. The only reason this is working is because he was in it, and I know how to love people. That's all I know how to do. And so the guys said that they were going to start helping me, so I'm going to test them. Right? And I'll know next week when I get a call on Sunday and say, how'd service go? We need a packed house like we have today. One is that guy right there needs the uplifting. Because if you think it's easy to stand in front of 300 people and talk, it ain't. But this place has got to go on even when I'm not here. Because you guys need to stop being boring and remember what bold means. Here at Crosspointe, we can't ever be complacent. We don't want to be predictable. We don't want to be that place that, well, we know exactly what they're going to do. There's people in here that help me all the time, and they're like, now what? They're like, how many people we feeding this week? I don't know. They ain't called yet, but hang on. I'm predictable in one way. I'm going to be the solution to whoever has a problem when it comes to feeding people. Because I got... Shut up, Bob. Because I know a congregation that knows how to love way beyond. And I got 20 people that come back from Atlanta. If you don't know what's going on here, very soon you will, because they're fixing to crank it out. And it's not because of me. It's because of Kyle Maines. He's about one of the best leaders I've seen green out of the box that works. And he don't talk much. We eat with Chelsea and Kyle maybe once every 2 months. He's busy and I'm busy. But he's very good at taking care of a group. And they had their first meeting, and you know who wasn't there? I had something come up. But I have confidence in him. I have confidence in the people that's there. They know what our target is. They know the target that I've showed them. They know the culture. They know what the model is. And we're going to have some sign-up sheets, and they're going to be very direct. They're going to be very decisive in what you have to do, and it's going to be no nonsense. We'll still shoot from the hip a couple times, but I think that they're fixing this line board this whole thing so it's straight. And it's not me. But we've got where we are, but if we're going to reach more people, we've got to change the model just a little bit. We got to get some more people in here that's taking responsibility from me. You know, I'd rather be preaching 5 times a year and letting you guys be blessed by other people that are here. It probably never happen because I can't give it up that much. But it's nice to know that people are here that can take care of you guys, and y'all support them and believe in them and follow them. In Ephesians 2:8, it says, God saved you by his grace when you believe. And you can take credit for this. It's a gift from God. If we didn't have faith, we wouldn't have a relationship with Jesus, because you can't see him. But if you were here this morning in worship, you felt him. God's word also says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, for we live by faith, or we live by believing and not seeing. We can't live at our relationship with Christ without bold faith in Jesus. You have to have faith. As I close this morning, in Matthew chapter 17, verse 20, it says, you don't have enough faith, Jesus told them. I tell you the truth. If you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. Nothing would be impossible. You know, we got our culture, and we got to be able to speak out. We got to be able to live out our faith in our communities. And we got to have buy-in, guys. You got to be bought into a culture that is ready to live out our faith in front of this whole community. And it starts right where you sit. I get it. I was raised in it. I know all about all the tactics that they come up with to get in your pocketbook. Anybody? You know what the church wants. You've been there, done that. Got a shirt to back it up. But right here, this is a different culture. We want you to be a part of what's going on. We're not trying to add 500 people to staff. We're not trying to make the pastor be a millionaire by the time he's 50. We're not trying to do all that. We're trying to raise up a culture in a place that's got addicts running out our ears. We want to be able to go alongside them and help them. We want to help the families that are splintered and broken. We want to help the people that couldn't find a good husband. That's why in a couple of weeks we're going to start our Sunday night marriage thing for 8 weeks. And it's for everybody that intends to have a relationship. Everybody that thinks they're going to get married one day, that is tired of being single, that has been hurt in a relationship, or if you've been married for 50 years. Because every one of us can use an overhaul when it comes to relationships in our lives. So my question this morning, are you living your life in faith, or are you living your life guided by fear? When was the last time you stepped out? When was the last time you felt one of them stories I was telling you about? When was the last time that you remember serving somebody during a time that you didn't have time to really do it, but you did it anyways, even when you didn't feel good, didn't have time, didn't want to, had a bad attitude, and when you did it, you come out going, you know what? I think I got blessed more than they did. When's the last time that you did like this and let go of your personal belongings? Because God doesn't want any of that. He doesn't say that it's bad to have stuff. All God wants you to do is relax your hands and listen to what He says. Because God spoke more about money in the Bible than He did anything. You guys know my heart. I'd rather never talk about it. But we got opportunities right here as a new church to Connersville to make some huge impacts in our community. But it takes buy-in. It takes all of us jumping in and saying, you know what? I'm going to give time right after I get out of work. I'm going to come help clean this sanctuary. That we haven't moved the chairs out in months because it takes 5 hours for 5 people and they're tired. We need to take extra care. We need to be proud of what's happening. We're going to need people to go to the next level. When was the last time you stepped out in faith? When was the last time that God nudged you in your heart when you were talking with somebody and He said, buy that for them. Give that to somebody. Go spend some time with them, even if you don't have extra time. Speak life into somebody. Uplift them. When He said open up your finances, did you make explanations or make a deal with Him? Or did you do it? I'm here to tell you right now, that is a hard place to be. Because if I would have sat on that motorcycle that day that I did what I did, I would have talked myself out of it. Because we all need more in our wallet, right? But the blessing I received far more paid for anything I did. You know, I'd probably be a rich man. I've been told many times I'd be rich if I wouldn't give it all away. But when I get to heaven, I'm working hard because I don't want God to look at me and say, you know what? You may not have much in the bank back on earth, but you did a good job blessing people with stuff that I provided for you. I probably won't have the money to even bury myself. That'll be y'all's job. Because there's a little bit of savings here that y'all can use for it. My point is, I'm not saying be unfrugal with your money. I'm not saying put yourself in a bind. I'm saying that every one of us that if you would do your part right here, there would never be a time that we would have to talk about needing a little bit more. God set this up to where we would have the sky is the limit if we would just allow Him to work in our life. Guys, I'm telling you, we are right on the edge of God doing something amazing right here in this building. And even if this is your first time, get on board and let's go take hell on with the water pistol and share the love of Christ to a lost world that needs to hear about Jesus. Because it's not the Chris and Kyle show. It's not the Chris and Justin show. It's not even the Chris and James show. Because I can't play the drums. I sure can't play the guitar, buddy. You guys are a part of what happens from today on. And God's saying, will you just listen to me? Will you just buy into a culture that all we want to do is help people? Because if you help people when they're down on their luck, they'll be here the next time they get up. And some of you are here because we helped you back then, and you're ready to help somebody else. So everybody bows their head. I'm going to ask the altar workers to come up one more time and know where you're wearing your feet out. If you don't know who Jesus is this morning, if you've never accepted him to be your Lord and Savior, these people right up here, they're ready to pray with you. I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I'm not trying to beat you down. I'm not trying to humiliate you, make you feel bad. I want you to be on the team. I want you to be a part of the team. I want you to see what the team is doing and be a part of it. Kyle starts singing this song. It's another one of them wreck me's. But what's Jesus telling you to do in your heart today? Please come.
Speak to me when the silence steals my voice. You understand me. You understand me. Come to me in the valley of unknowns. You understand me. You understand me. You understand me, God. You understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare me. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought you were. Bigger than I thought you were. I believe, but help my unbelief. You understand me. You understand me. So help me reach the faith that's underneath. You understand me. You understand me. You understand me, God. You understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest in you. I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. One more time. I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiation with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. 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 Bigger than I thought you were.
Lord, as we come to you today, God, this is all yours. Everything I have, everything that's material right here in this room, everything that Crosspointe has, God, it's in your hands. And Lord, there's a lot of things that I don't do right, and there's a lot of things I can't do. There's a lot of people right here in this room that's better at stuff than I am. But God, all I know to do is use everything that you've blessed me with to reach people. And God, that means that my money, my stuff, all of it you give me. Lord, I don't know how to articulate the right conversation or talk about it the right way, but God, I want every person in this room to know where I am in life and know what I do. Not that it's right. But God, if I'm not learning and I'm not stretching, then every one of these people in this room will not rise above where I'm at. And I don't want to be the cause. So Lord, I ask right now, God, that everybody that is in this room, that they would know my heart, and they would know why I am who I am and I do what I do, because I love your children. I love your children even if they aren't in this room, even if they don't believe in you. Everyone on this earth is a child of God because you made us. So God, that means that I love them. God, help me convey that message every time that I'm up here. And God, use our resources to reach who you want. Help us to get the culture. Help us to be fully invested. God, even if there's somebody watching on Facebook, even if they don't live in this town, they can be a part of what's going on right here. Lord, it's all yours anyways. God, bless it, multiply it, do what you want with it. Help us to reach more people. Help us to be transparent in our lives. God, just send us one more person that doesn't know who you are before you come. Give every one of us the right attitude, the right desires in our heart. God, I beg you to break my heart, every heart in this room, for what breaks yours. Let us look through the filters that you look through and see everybody when we look at them. Because, Lord, you didn't make no junk. And I need more of you. God, I ask these things in your name. We praise you. Give you all the honor and glory. In your name we pray. Amen. You guys may be seated real quick. Got a couple of announcements. I'm going to ask the guys if you go ahead and finalize the video. I don't want this part on there. Because we're just talking to our Crosspointe family, right? Some things only us need to know.